Hello beautiful people, and welcome back again to the channel. Happy New Year officially. My name is Winna Yinkore. For those of you that are new to my channel, and you, my darling, are most definitely welcome. And to you, my returning subscribers, you guys are the real MVP. Thank you for your support, thank you for everything, and thank you for returning to watch another episode on the channel. In today's video, as you already see from the title, I am going to be talking about a few of the many lessons I learned in 2022. This is actually in quote like almost a channel tradition that I started last year. So if you want to see the lessons I learned in 2021, I'm going to leave that video up here on the cards or down in the description. Do well to watch that as well after watching this. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So one of the very interesting lessons I learned was to actually take my finances very seriously. I know it sounds weird, right? Or it sounds strange coming from someone like me, you would say. But yeah, funny enough, I was someone that always like pushed aside anything financially related. I figured that as long as I had, money to take care of my daily needs, I had food on my table, I could afford clothing and all that, that I was good, that I was okay. Even though I was not working, I grew up with a father who always provided, who always met my needs. And then getting married, I got married to a very caring and loving husband who always also provides my needs, So it was more of a thing that when you have money coming in, or you're assured of money coming in, you kind of have this negligent attitude. So because I trusted that money will always come for me, I had zero sense of urgency. In 2022, I finally realized that taking my finances seriously goes beyond just maybe paying bills on time, being out of debt, and being comfortable. It dawned on me that actively planning for the future, setting goals, and making smart financial decisions, these are the things that encompasses actually being financially wise or financially smart. The turning point for me in my finances actually started somewhere around June, I think around June or May-June in 2022. So early 2022, when I was waiting on my medical career to kick off in Nigeria, but it wasn't coming forth. So what I did was that I signed up for a Bible school, so Dunamis School of Ministry, and one of the topics in the School of Ministry was dealing about finances, and the person that took the topic that day was no other person than my mother in the Lord, Pastor Mrs. Becky Paul Enenche. So the particular statement she made that was like a light bulb moment for me was when she said that every day we pay someone. You go to the mall, you want to get a dress, you pay for the dress. You want to make food at home, let's say rice, jollof rice, you buy tomatoes, you buy rice, you buy oil. These things are products that people make, and you buy them, you give them your money for this items. She now said something profound. She said we pay everybody else, but we don't pay ourselves. She was like, we pay everybody else except ourselves. It was at that moment that I had to look at my life and the financial aspect of my life actually under a microscope. She also made another profound statement, and she said that get to a point where you don't spend the mother money and you spend the daughter money. So if you know a particular item in the finance world called dividends, so let's say for example I bought stock A for 20 naira. Let's say every month or every 2 months or whatever, that 20 naira that I've invested into that stock A, they will always pay me a dividend of, let's say, 1 naira, every month. So instead of spending that 20 naira I've invested, why not I spend that 1 naira I got out of investing that? So she said, so that's the summary. She said, spend daughter money, don't spend mother money. So that was a very profound, I know it was God working in me. So so another thing I learned in respect to this financial area was also that I knew what was stopping me. We always feel that we need to have this 1 million naira, 2 million naira in our bank account, or 2 billion before we start investing, before we start saving. But that is a lie of the devil. If you only have 10,000 naira, my mother in the Lord, she actually even broke it down, to a practical example that works for her. I'll just give a randomized, example to help out. So if say I'm not currently working, but just say I receive 10,000 naira as my allowance monthly. I pay my tithe out of that 90% left. I can choose to say 10% goes into saving, another 10% goes into investment. Because I was this type of person that when money lands my hands, or if somebody wants something, or if somebody is in trouble or whatever, I will give out. I will buy clothes, I will buy makeup, I will buy this. But at the end of the month, I have nothing left in my purse. But when I started, making effort from that June or July, I am so happy where I am now. It's not like I have $1 billion in my account, but I was like, so I would have been able to save even more than this and even invest even more than this if I had started earlier. Finance is something that they don't really teach us in school. I know it's unfair, but the earlier you pick it up, the better. I now realize something that happened that, because when I was just spending and not saving or investing, I always felt like the money was not even enough. That was just a lie. But when I realized that when I started saving or investing, it felt like, okay, this was the same amount of money I squandered, but when I actually planned my finance, saved, invest, and made good financial decisions, it was as if that same amount of money could do a lot more. I don't know if you understand. So it was just one of the most fulfilling moments for me. So I started with, investing in Nigeria. Back then I was in Nigeria. So I started investing in Bamboo. Bamboo app, you can buy stocks on there, and then I bought a few stocks on cheaper app as well. Then there was something beautiful I also learned. So because when the financial thing dawned on me, you would do your research, you would do your financial research and start planning towards your future. Do you understand? So I also started saving on Piggyvest. So the beautiful thing about Piggyvest in Nigeria is that the more you save, or if you leave your money on the vault or the normal area, as you leave your money, they keep adding, interest to it, depending on where you put your money, whether in the safe lock or in the dollar portfolio. So you also earn money in dollar. And then in Bamboo as well, there's also something you call the fixed return, where you put in money and you keep it there, lock it there for a certain time, you gain interest. So these little things, you might just be like, why will I invest $20 and I will only get, let's say, 0.6 dollars interest? It doesn't seem big to you, but did you work for the money? So you are just allowing your money work for you. So I am still improving in my financial journey, but I am so happy I started in 2022. I have a couple of dollars here and there invested everywhere, and now coming into the UK, I'm still waiting to change my name, but because I've not changed my name, I'm currently just using Revolut. Revolut has a lot of nice features. You can buy gold on there, you can buy crypto on there, you can buy stocks, you can even save in a vault and get interest on it. So it's very beautiful. You can start little, that's the irony. So the trap is, the trap which I was in for a very long time, but thank God I broke it last year, was that you think you need to have this big money. But no, if it's 500 naira, 1000 naira, 2000 naira, if it's £1, £2, £3, start saving, start investing, prepare for the future. Don't be this person that, like in the Nigerian tradition, like I always say, you want to rely on your children. It should be that by when you are 50, 60, you are financially, up there. You're not even relying on your children or relying on pension or anything. One of the books my mother in the Lord suggested to read was this, The Richest Man in Babylon. The best way to go about financial principle is to know it from the one who created us, which is God. So that book brought out some of the financial principles biblically that also work in this time and age. I'm going to leave a link to the book in the description and you can purchase yours. Start reading on financial books and financial content. And yeah, I'm so excited because right now my financial capacity is increasing by the grace of God. And yeah, I just hope that this financial lesson I had and I was able to start in 2022 and I'm continuing right now will be a motivation for someone watching me to start as well. So it was a big lesson. Another profound lesson I learned in 2022 is to audit what I consumed. What you see and what you listen to has a long and lasting impact in your life. That was what I really learned in 2022. Most times we consume a lot of things, especially things that are just randomly in front of us without sometimes, intentionally considering or analyzing what we are seeing or what we are listening to. Especially in this time and age of social media where the algorithm generally pushes random and any kind of content right in front of our eyes. Especially this time and age where we also know that negative news is always louder than positive news. Every day in the media we see, this couple, they are divorced, this person was used for ritual, this father raped his daughter, this husband beat his wife. There's just a lot of negative news out there. But do we actually, intentionally sieve and filter what we see or what we hear? That cartoon, I don't know if it's a cartoon or that's saying, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. That should be our motto for the year. So that was my motto for 2022. The negative news and the negative stories all over was just a lot. The thing about auditing is that when I started auditing my life, I saw the amount of things I was actually bringing into my life and the amount of things that I was actually exposing myself to. So I had to come up with a practical way to declutter the amount of things that I had going on in my life or entering my life. And one of those things I did was that I took stock of the things that I was already consuming. I took stock of my social media. I took stock of, the people I listened to, in terms of friends, family and whatnot. I took stock of, what am I buying? What am I consuming? You have to take stock. You have to sit down with yourself and get real with yourself. So I sat down, I took stock. Okay, in this area, physically, what am I consuming? Spiritually, what am I consuming? Okay, my social media, what am I consuming? And then the next thing I did was that I got more mindful. So I got more mindful of the things I purchased. I got more mindful of, the things I listen to and who I listen to. I got more mindful of that. I asked myself questions like, oh, do I really need to purchase this? Do I really need to have this amount of conversation with this person? Do I really have to tell this person this thing? Do I really have to follow this page? Do I really have to follow this, person on social media? So I was very mindful of that as well. And then the last thing I did was that I cut down on unnecessary consumption. So this question of, do I really need it, or is it just a want, or is it just a flimsy thing? You have to question yourself. So I started unsubscribing to so many email listings that were no longer serving me. On social media as well, I unfollowed a lot of pages, just to keep myself sane. Because imagine, say for example, you're just consuming, oh, today you're online, this person's divorced, the other person is divorced, this one is that, this one is that. At the end of the day, these things affect your mind. Last year it was just so crazy because you start seeing yourself almost like projecting what you're seeing, what you're hearing into your own personal life, and that is no way to live. You start seeing yourself, living in fear. You're like, for example, oh, if there's so much divorce like this going on, this is my small 2 years married, it was just a lot. So I really, I'm so grateful to God for where I am now. I try to audit my life. So I've unfollowed a lot of pages. I've unsubscribed from a lot of listening. I'm very careful of what I watch. Once I start watching it and it doesn't go well with my spirit, that is goodbye to that thing. Because like they say, you have to actually protect, in quote, not only your mental health, you have to protect your spiritual health as well. So instead of, focusing and spending your time on unnecessary things, so I started focusing and spending my time on things that would build me, things that would make my spirit come alive, things that would make me think in the positive light. So I started seeing no evil, hearing no evil. And yes, I know in social media it's inevitable sometimes because the algorithm would push what they want to push as well. But once you see it's something that you don't want, once you click on it and say, don't show me this again, at a certain time you stop saying things like that. So I was so grateful that in 2022 what I learned to do was to audit my life. And it didn't just end there, because even in this 2023, as time goes, I audit things as the spirit leads. So that was one huge lesson that I learned in 2022. The third lesson I learned was more like a question that was ministered into my heart. So the question was this: if your message was just for one person, would you still continue? So this question was in relation to YouTube, my YouTube channel. We live in a time and age where, instant gratification, likes and everything is the order of the day. Every YouTuber wants to grow. Every YouTuber wants to reach that big milestone, but we tend to forget that life is a process, and then you come to the realization, you sit back and you ask yourself, okay, what if you don't have 1 million followers? What if you don't get 1 million likes? What if you just have 10 likes, 10 followers, or 100 followers and whatnot? Would you still continue? What if your message, what if the impact that you're supposed to make is just for one person and not a crowd? Would you still continue? In social media, we feel that sometimes the message we have to pass has to be for a crowd, but that message might actually just be for one person. And to be honest, this is one of the things that, keep me going. I've made, about 1, 2, or 3 videos in the past that have really, got me to, meet up with like new people. And, like for example, I have a video, I think I'll just leave the link here. So it's about the UK spousal visa. I cannot count the amount of people that have messaged me, for one question or the other. I am not an immigration specialist, but it just, made me think that my experience is actually reaching out to people. Another profound one is this one of, so one of the things that actually, got me was when I got to chat with a particular young lady, I think last year. So I made a video where I said my story, my testimony. So I'll leave the card here and also in the description. If you want to watch it, you watch it. So the summary of that video was how I struggled after high school, to get into university in general, and how my testimony was actually graduating from the Philippines, being a doctor. So I talked about the struggles I went through. So this young lady messaged me on Instagram that she came across that video, and actually this is her situation right now, and she's so happy that she came across that video because it made her feel like she was not alone, that somebody has gone through what she's going through right now. And that just gives her hope that if Dr. Winna can come out of this, then she also can come out of it. And I didn't know this girl from Adam, but at that moment I felt so happy, so fulfilled, because yes, I only got her, which is one person, messaging me about that video, and it meant so much to me. It meant so much to me. So it made me believe that when I release video here on YouTube, and if it's only if it's only helpful to one person, or if it's only helpful or reaches out to one person and makes that person so happy, so fulfilled, then I am fulfilled. So as content creators, what if your message is just for one person? Would you continue? Would you still be driven? Would that drive you further to keep giving? Okay. So that was one profound lesson I learned in 2022, and I think I was meant to learn it because that story alone will keep pushing me to do better, to not keep my story to myself. So this brings me to a statement where I'll say that your story is valid. Your story is valid. Yes, there might be several people going through the same story you're going through, but yours is unique to you and your story is valid. So tell your story out there, because you just might be helping someone. So it was a profound lesson I learned in 2022. The very last lesson I'm going to give, which was a profound one I learned in 2022, is that social timelines do not exist. Only God's timeline does. I know, right? We've all been there. Oh, I want to graduate by age 20, by 21. I've already owned my personal business. By 22, I'm already cashing out the millions. By 25, I'm married. By 30, I'm this. By 28, I'm that. Yada, yada, yada. But my dear, you want to be married by 20. Are you married? Are you really married now? So honestly, social timelines don't exist. I learned that in a hard way. When I was in med school, to start with, when I was in med school, I was like, my graduation, go easy because I have to step on the devil. I was already thinking how I would dress, how I would dance. But then COVID came and spoiled everything. So I was one of those people who did not even have a graduation ceremony. So I thought about it, but that didn't happen. I will get married at this. I got married earlier than I anticipated for myself. I even thought that I was going to do like house job in Nigeria. I wrote the MDCN exam, I passed everything, started looking for a job. I didn't get what I wanted. And now see me, I'm in the UK. So sometimes actually think back 5-10 years ago, how you thought your life would, play out. Is that how it's playing out now? Nah. So trust me, social timelines do not exist. Only God's timeline does. So right now, the way I live my life, I learned the hard way, because 2022 I was like, this 2022, I thought I would be this, I thought I would be that. In our head, we always have our lives planned out, but that is not how God's timing works. So 2022, I just really learned to like, what, God, I give it all to you. It's all yours. Just have it. It's all yours. This life is yours. Just have it, whichever way you want to do it. Because sometimes when I plan things and I don't come for, I always keep asking the questions like, oh God, why is this happening? Why is that happening? I want to be this by this. What I had in my head, like right now, what I had in my head, I should be a resident right now. But, I've not even done a postgraduate internship. That is, that's just how it is. So social timelines don't exist. So what I learned was to just, this life, just release it to God. Just release it to God. And while I'm waiting for what I expect or what I think will come to pass, I should live in the now. So last year, I thought I was going to be doing my house job in Nigeria, but that didn't come forth. So what did I do? I went to a Bible school for 6 months. While I also tried to apply. So if that works out, fine. But I went to a Bible school for 6 months. After that, I took a photography course for 3 months. I also took a virtual assistant course for 2 months. So that brings me to the question, while you're waiting for your timeline to manifest, what are you doing in the meantime? What are you doing in the meantime? And it's very profound to keep praying for the will of God. So one prayer point that was very common to me last year was like, Lord, let your will be done and not my will. Let your will be done. So I gave up on social timelines. If you ask me now, oh, where do you see yourself next year? I see myself where God sees me. I'm done with social timelines. They don't exist. Only God's time does. And the beautiful thing, when what you expect even comes at a later date, it now makes sense to you. Oh, this was why this did not happen 2 years ago. Oh God, I'm grateful. Thank you. Things will now make sense at the end of the day. Things now tend to make sense to you. So only God's timeline exists. And yeah, those were the 4 profound lessons out of the numerous lessons I learned in 2022. So what were your own lessons of 2022? Please leave it down there in the comments and I will be reading it. I hope you absolutely enjoyed this episode on the channel. Please do give it a massive thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, those beautiful things we do on here on YouTube. And before I go, I just want to pray for you, and I pray that this 2023 we are not going to make mistakes. We're not going to make decisions. We're not going to take actions that we would regret, but we're going to take actions that are according to the will of God for our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you. Bye.